6. Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue that has shaken poor Charles with a rare blend of heartbreak, forgiveness, and unexpected joy, the emotional and deeply personal turning point in the relationship between Willow and Drew. As tensions built leading up to their wedding, fans braced for disaster. But instead, they were given a moment of tenderness and vulnerability that no one could have predicted. Let's dive into this powerful story where betrayal meets forgiveness and new life promises a fresh beginning. Just hours before she was set to walk down the aisle, Willow was hit with a truth that shattered her. She discovered that Drew, the man she had chosen to marry, had once slept with Nina. The news came suddenly and without warning. It wasn't something she learned gradually or over weeks of suspicion. Instead, it struck like a bolt of lightning on the very day she was preparing to say, "I do." The emotional weight of that truth was almost too much to bear. Willow had long had a complicated and painful relationship with Nina, her biological mother. Their dynamic had been filled with emotional landmines, years of resentment, and constant emotional struggle. Just as it seemed there might be a chance for healing, Willow was blindsided by this revelation that the man she trusted most had crossed a line she never expected him to. There wasn't time to process. No time for confrontation or even tears. The wedding was happening. Guests had arrived. Vows were written. Dresses and suits were pressed. The entire town was watching. Willow, ever composed under pressure, made a decision. She would go forward with the wedding not because she was ready to forgive, but because she didn't know what else to do in that moment. She was cornered emotionally, and her instinct was to hold everything inside. But Willow wasn't just carrying emotional pain. She was carrying something else, something she hadn't told anyone yet, not even Drew. A secret that changed everything. As the ceremony began, Willow walked slowly down the aisle. Her heart pounded not just with the tension of recent news, but with anticipation for what she was about to reveal. There was no turning back. She had made her choice. And it wasn't just about forgiveness or trust, it was about something much larger. A future bigger than both of them. When Willow stood beside Drew at the altar, the air was thick with emotion. Drew, unaware that his secret had been exposed, stood with pride and love, ready to begin their life together. Willow, meanwhile, carried the weight of conflicting emotions, anger, hurt, and something else, hope. Midway through the ceremony, just before the vows, Willow did something no one expected. She turned to Drew, reached into her bouquet, and pulled out a folded envelope. Inside it was a black and white image, a sonogram. Willow handed it to Drew with trembling hands. Confused at first, Drew opened the envelope and his eyes went wide. He looked at the image, then back at Willow, then back at the image. Willow whispered, "We're having twins." Time froze. The crowd gasped. Drew's jaw dropped in disbelief, then curled into an emotional, overjoyed smile. The flood of emotion was instant. The man who moments ago was standing confidently but obliviously at the altar was now overtaken with awe and gratitude. Tears welled up in his eyes as he clutched the ultrasound image to his chest. It was more than just the joy of becoming a father, it was the realization that Willow had chosen to share this moment with him, despite everything. But Drew was no fool. He looked Willow in the eyes and saw the truth written there. He knew instantly that she had learned about his past with Nina. The timing, the tension, her expression, it all made sense now. And yet, she still stood before him, still planned to marry him, still carried his children and had come to him with honesty. He didn't need to ask how she knew. He didn't try to explain it away. Instead, Drew took her hand in his and said the words that mattered most. "I know you found out. And I'm sorry." The confession hung in the air. Quiet, heavy, real. Willow, already shaken, nodded. Her voice cracked as she replied, "I found out just before the ceremony. And I almost walked away. But then I remembered we're not just two people anymore. We're a family. These babies, they deserve the truth. They deserve something better than what we've had. I'm not saying I've forgotten, but I forgive you. And I want us to be honest, moving forward. Drew broke down, full of emotion. He swore to her, right then and there in front of everyone they loved, that he would never lie again, that his past mistakes would not define their future, that he would do whatever it took to be the kind of man their children could look up to, that he would become a husband she could rely on. The moment transformed the wedding into something far deeper than a traditional ceremony. It became a turning point, not just for Willow and Drew, but for the entire General Hospital community. The couple didn't just exchange rings. They exchanged truths. They laid everything bare. And in that vulnerability, they found strength. The rest of the ceremony carried a quiet energy. There was no loud celebration, no showy excess. Instead, it was intimate, emotional, and raw. Willow and Drew said their vows not as a perfect couple, but as two flawed human beings choosing to fight for a second chance. Their kiss was long and real, a seal not of fantasy, but of commitment. After the ceremony, guests offered muted congratulations, still processing what they'd witnessed. Some were confused. Others were inspired. But no one could deny the gravity of what had taken place. In a town filled with secrets, scandals, and broken promises, Willow had chosen honesty, and Drew had chosen accountability. The news of the pregnancy spread quickly, sending shockwaves through Port Charles. The fact that it was a twin pregnancy made it even more emotional. Friends and family reacted with joy, surprise, and in some cases, concern. Many questioned whether Willow had done the right thing by going through with the wedding. Others admired her courage to face down pain and still move forward with grace. Carly, visibly emotional, praised Willow for her strength and told her she would be there for the twins every step of the way. Michael, who once shared a life with Willow, expressed quiet support, acknowledging the difficult position she had been put in and showing respect for her decision. Even Sonny, who has long had a complicated relationship with both Nina and Drew, admitted that the honesty and emotion in the wedding had taken him by surprise. But not everyone was happy. Nina, blindsided by the revelation that her secret had finally reached Willow, struggled to cope. Her guilt returned with full force. She had buried that chapter of her life, hoping it would never surface. But now, it had resurfaced at the worst possible moment. She considered reaching out to Willow, but was advised to keep her distance, at least for now. Willow had made it clear that while she had chosen to forgive Drew, her relationship with Nina remained strained. Back at the newlyweds' home, Drew and Willow spent their first night as husband and wife in quiet reflection. They talked for hours about the babies, about their future, about how things could have been different and how they still had time to make them better. Drew promised that every day from now on would be about earning Willow's trust back. Willow, cautious but hopeful, admitted she was ready to try not for the sake of appearances, but for the sake of their growing family. In the weeks to come, Port Charles will watch closely as Willow and Drew navigate the difficult road ahead. The pregnancy will take center stage. Doctors will monitor Willow closely, as twin pregnancies often come with risk. Drew will face tests of his word moments where his past may try to resurface. But now the stakes are higher than ever. Next, we will learn about the devastating developments that are about to rock Port Charles to its very core. As explosive new leaked information reveals that WSB Chief Jack Brennan's tragic demise is imminent, setting off a catastrophic chain of events that will forever alter the romantic landscape of our beloved characters. The shocking revelation of Jack Brennan's approaching death has sent tremors throughout the General Hospital fanbase, with insider sources confirming that the beloved WSB Chief's final moments are drawing near. This earth-shattering loss promises to leave Carly Spencer completely devastated, emotionally shattered, and thrust back into the vulnerable position of being single once again. The timing couldn't be more explosive, as whispers of Britt Westburn's highly anticipated return to Port Charles are growing louder by the day, creating a perfect storm of romantic chaos that threatens to tear Jason Morgan's heart into completely different directions. Jason Morgan finds himself standing at an impossible crossroads, still harboring deep, unresolved feelings for the enigmatic Britt Westburn. Even as Carly's impending grief threatens to rekindle their complex, decades-long emotional connection. The intricate web of loyalty, love, and obligation that has always defined Jason's relationships is about to be tested like never before. As Carly's desperate emotional state following Jack's death will inevitably demand his unwavering support and devotion. With Carly and Sonny Corinthos appearing to have reached the definitive end of their tumultuous relationship, passionate fans across social media platforms are buzzing with excitement about the tantalizing possibility of a long-awaited Carly-Jason romantic reunion. The circumstances surrounding Jack Brennan's tragic death are shrouded in mystery and danger, with preliminary reports suggesting his demise may be directly connected to his high-stakes confrontations with the ruthless criminal mastermind Jens Sidwell, whose shadow has been looming ominously over Port Charles for months. Alternative theories point to potential internal WSB conflicts, possibly involving controversial recruitment decisions such as bringing Jocelyn Joss Jacks into the dangerous world of international espionage, a move that could have created deadly enemies within the organization itself. The revelation of Jack's secret recruitment of Joss into the WSB will undoubtedly add another layer of betrayal and pain to Carly's already overwhelming grief. When news of Jack's death finally reaches Carly, the impact will be nothing short of catastrophic, hitting her emotional defenses like a devastating freight train that leaves nothing but wreckage in its wake. Online fan communities are already expressing their heartbreak over the potential end of Carly and Jack's passionate romance, a relationship that had captured viewers' hearts as they watched Carly fall harder than she had in years, despite repeated warnings from her closest allies including Jason, Sonny, and Anna Devane. The intensity of their connection had been undeniable, making his loss all the more tragic and emotionally devastating for both Carly and the audience who had invested in their love story. Left emotionally fragile and navigating life completely alone, Carly's overwhelming grief will naturally draw her toward Jason Morgan, the one constant source of strength and stability in her chaotic world. Their friendship has weathered countless storms over the years, built on a foundation of unshakable trust and mutual protection that has transcended romantic relationships and family obligations. As the shocking truth about Jack's secret activities comes to light, including his controversial decision to recruit her daughter Jess into the dangerous world of the WSB, Carly's sense of betrayal will compound her grief, making her even more dependent on Jason's steady presence and unwavering support. The parallel between Carly's current heartbreak and her past losses creates a haunting echo that resonates throughout Port Charles, reminding longtime viewers of the cyclical nature of tragedy in her life. Devoted fans are already expressing concern that Carly will once again lean heavily on Jason, expecting to occupy the primary position in his life and demanding his complete attention and loyalty. Just as rumors of Britt's imminent return threaten to complicate his emotional landscape in unprecedented ways. The timing of these converging events suggests that the writers are orchestrating a complex emotional collision that will force all three characters to confront their deepest feelings and most complicated relationships. Britt Westburn's spectacular comeback has been the subject of intense speculation ever since Kelly Thibault was spotted filming scenes at the General Hospital studios last week, sending the rumor mill into overdrive with theories about her character's dramatic return storyline. The possibility of a romantic reunion between Britt and Jason has fans divided but undeniably excited, as their chemistry has remained legendary among viewers since their unforgettable lighthouse scenes that established them as one of the show's most compelling couples. Jason's obvious inability to completely move on from Britt has been evident in his reactions and behavior, making it clear that his feelings for her have never truly disappeared despite the years of separation and uncertainty. The recent airport encounter, where Jason believed he spotted Britt or someone bearing a striking resemblance to her, sent shockwaves through his carefully constructed emotional defenses, revealing just how deeply she still affects him on a fundamental level. This moment of recognition and the flood of memories it triggered demonstrated that their connection transcends time and circumstances, remaining as powerful and undeniable as ever. However, Carly's fresh heartbreak and desperate emotional state following Jack's death threatens to completely derail any potential for a romantic reunion between Jason and Britt, creating a complex triangle of competing needs and loyalties. General Hospital fans with long memories are already recalling the intense opposition Carly demonstrated toward Jason's previous romance with Britt, particularly during the complicated period of their mob-sanctioned marriage arrangement. Carly's fierce protectiveness over her relationship with Jason has always been rooted in a deep-seated fear of losing his devotion and priority status in his life, concerns that led her to actively work against his happiness with Britt in the past. With Carly now finding herself single and emotionally vulnerable, while Sunny has definitively exited the romantic picture, the stage is perfectly set for her to once again attempt to sabotage Jason and Britt's chance at love in order to maintain her position as his primary emotional focus. The tragic circumstances of Jack's rumored exit from the show will leave Carly in an incredibly vulnerable state, emotionally raw and desperate for the security and comfort that only Jason has consistently provided throughout their complicated history. This vulnerability could prove to be the most significant obstacle to Jason and Britt's potential reunion, as Carly's expectation to remain the most important person in Jason's life will create an impossible situation for him to navigate. The question becomes whether a grieving Carly will actively fight against their reunion, using emotional manipulation and their shared history to maintain her hold on Jason's loyalty, or whether she will somehow find the strength to prioritize his happiness over her own desperate need for his constant support. The dramatic confrontation that many fans are already anticipating involves Carly directly challenging Britt's worthiness of Jason's love, potentially arguing that Britt doesn't deserve him after allowing him to believe she was dead for such an extended period. This type of emotional manipulation would be entirely consistent with Carly's character history and her pattern of using guilt and loyalty to maintain control over the important relationships in her life. The fanbase remains deeply divided on these potential developments, with passionate supporters on both sides of the romantic equation, some desperately hoping for a rekindled spark between Carly and Jason, while others are firmly rooting for Jason and Britt to finally claim their epic love story. As these explosive storylines converge in the coming weeks, Port Charles residents and viewers alike will be forced to witness the devastating aftermath of tragedy, the complexity of long-buried emotions, and the ultimate test of loyalty, love, and sacrifice that will determine the romantic fate of these beloved characters.